Hello, I'm Michelle and I'm a Sorts MediLink stoma care nurse, and today I'm here to discuss the innovative filter design of the Confidence B Go pouch with Ian. Hi Ian.
Hi Michelle.
Please could you tell us what makes a good filter?
There are a few critical factors when thinking about ostomy filters and what might make a good design. There are a few key things that we have to have at the forefront of our mind. Firstly, we have to be able to make sure that enough of the gas that enters the bag in normal use can evacuate and find its way out. Secondly, any output that does enter the bag doesn't get to the point where the gas evacuates or exits the bag, because that can block and foul the filter. Thirdly, we've got to make sure that the filter, as gas does escape, that it scrubs the foul odour that's associated with latest gas. And then finally, we've got to be able to make sure that the filter can last for as long as patients typically want to or need to wear the product. So there's quite a few things to consider when designing and creating a filter system.
And as a stoma care nurse, that's quite an important thing for us, because if a patient feels that they can smell what's coming out from the bag, that will stop them from going out. And likewise, if they feel that the bag is ballooning too much, or they can feel seepage coming from the filter, it really does hinder their confidence of how long they will wear that pouch for, and actually just having a normal everyday wearing of the pouch itself.
Yeah, so it's a real key aspect of a good product.
Yeah, definitely. So Ian, I hear that the Confidence B Go filter system has an active chamber system. How does that work?
Right, I'll try and show you with these old bags. So this is an older product.
Okay.
Now, typically inside the badge, you can see where the filter's located, and then these internal films.
Yeah.
Now, in some of the older bags, those films have perforations in, but when gas enters the bag, those internal films press up against the outside.
I see.
And when you've got output and liquid and moisture and a kind of a moist, warm environment, those films stick together on the outside of the bag. So when we're developing Confidence B Go, we thought, well, there's one thing that we do know always happens, and that's gas entering the bag along with output. So how do we use the fact that gas is entering to the benefit of the product? And what we're creating is a stitched filter chamber here, which you can see. So as gas comes into the pouch, you can see that when the pouch pulls apart, imagine it filling with gas, this section here remains open. So there's always a gas path, but it's always also preventing the output getting to the point where the gas evacuates the pouch.
So does that stop the pouch then from ballooning?
Yeah, that's exactly why we do that, to try and create that gas path at all times.
Okay.
Additionally, on there as well, because we talked earlier about preventing leakage.
Yeah.
So in the filter, I've just taken a cut of a filter here. We can see we've got this hydrophobic membrane on the inside, and that allows air to permeate and go through that membrane, but it holds the liquid and any kind of fats and output back, so they can't escape the bag. So it lets air out, but doesn't let anything else outside of the bag.
And that's so important, because any seepage or any fecal content that will come out of the filter will stain the side of the bag and can stain the patient's clothes as well. So them having that confidence that they can have the air and the gas filter through the system, but no fecal content, will really be a good kind of confidence boosting for them.
Additionally then, once the air's got through that membrane and held all the contents back inside, the gas then passes through this polyurethane foam, which is impregnated with activated carbon, and that neutralises the odour. So obviously, creating a more comfortable, more kind of, sure kind of knowledge that, you're not going to get any kind of embarrassing smells or odours as a result.
Exactly, which is one of the biggest issues and one of the biggest fears that our patients have, is that when they go out or when they're at home with family, people will smell the odour and they will be able to smell the contents of their bag. So that will be really great to reassure the patients that they're not going to have that.
Yeah.
So I imagine, to keep on improving on your previous products, you do a lot of testing to make sure that you keep on developing and keep on getting the best product.
With this particular product, we were keen to kind of look back at our previous products and understand, well, just by how much do we want to improve this? So there's a few tests that we do. The first one is literally in an out-of-the-box condition. So how much gas can the filter evacuate in an unused condition, because that's as a patient's going to start to wear it. And what we saw with Confidence B Go versus our natural advanced product is that we got like 179% improvements in the rate of airflow through the product. So that was a really good starting point.
Yeah, really interesting to see that it was such a huger amount that was there from that.
The second thing we did is, because obviously you've then got to simulate usage conditions. So what we do is we take quite an extreme condition and we take a synthetic form of feces, is actually a NASA formulation, and then we use that formulation and tune it to the Bristol stool scale for colostomy output or for ileostomy output. And then we inundate that product for 24 hours, we invert it, so basically the area of the filter is absolutely blighted with content as much as we possibly can. We then empty the pouch or turn the pouch the right way up and then test the flow rate through the filter. We saw a huge
quite
increase.
a strenuous system that you put it through, and quite a lot of testing that they go through.
Yeah, a huge amount. So as a result of that testing, we could see that versus Confidence Natural Advance, the Confidence BGO filter was 271% better at continuing to maintain that flow of gas out of the product, which of course helps to reduce ballooning.
And then for our patients is a win-win then, because that means there's less ballooning for them and more confidence with them with their pouch for the length of time that they wear it.
And then finally, one key aspect that we did through the development process, but we also do as part of our quality processes, is to establish, how long will the filter continue to scrub the odours associated with the gas. And what we found is we saw that the Confidence BGO filter basically scrubs the odour, continues to eliminate the odour for twice as long as the previous filter on Natural Advance. So,
that would be really reassuring for the patients to know that actually the length of time that they wear their bag, they have a longer length without having odour there. That will give them so much confidence.
All those three things and those three tests are something that we do, routinely as part of the design development process and research process, but also as part of how we manage quality and making sure that the product always goes out in the best possible way.
That's amazing. That's a lot more testing than I thought goes into the filter system. And then obviously why it works so well and why it's a good filter system. Another thing I've realised about the filter was that you've changed the shape of the Confidence BGO filter. Is there a reason for that?
Pretty straightforward, really. Typically, we have these circular filters. However, what we realised was that that creates quite a lot of waste on the roll of material as we receive it and when we cut them and process them. So moving it to a hexagon filter, hexagon shaped filter, that allows us to use more material, be more efficient with how we use our material, and therefore have less waste. So
That's
less to
brilliant.
landfill.
Always good to have less wastage and to reduce our carbon footprint. Well, Ian, thank you very much for your time today and for explaining about the filter system to me. I think my takeaway key parts of that is just how much testing and how much science goes into making the filters, and then what a big impact that has on our patients' experiences.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure being here and talking to you about it. We're lucky that we've got some really talented people in our design, development, quality and research functions that we've got this thirst for exploring how to do things better constantly by kind of caring, listening and innovating every day. So we're lucky.
Yeah, thank you.